I want to talk about the question of a person's position in life and the question of blame or responsibility. Blame is kind of a nastier way a lot of times of saying responsibility. All right. One time I mentioned to somebody, it doesn't matter who, the problems that my parents were having. My dad, after 27 years of loyal service to his company, had lost his job when the plant closed. My mother was a homemaker and just had not worked outside the home, and we dropped down from lower middle class to impoverished. And I discussed the terrible problems we were having, and somebody said about my parents, and they blame everybody for it but themselves. The truth was they did blame themselves. I remembered people saying things like, well, when you get to be an adult, you're responsible for what you do with your life. Okay, that attitude is actually part of the American environment. Now, it does have some positives to it in that it can act as a spur to individual effort. But it also has a largely negative side because it restrains people from making systemic changes. Now, the fact is that, somebody on the streets may very well be an alcoholic or a drug addict. But there are alcoholics and drug addicts who live in mansions. There are alcoholics and drug addicts who will never be in danger of being on the streets. Why is that? They simply have more money. Okay, and that might be because they're able to function at a high-paying job despite being impaired. It might be because they inherited something through accidental birth. But for whatever reason, they're not on the streets. Okay, now, the fact is that a person does not choose their environment. They do not choose what country they were born in or what culture they were enculturated into. And these are all major factors having to do, which influence how a person's life turns out. A person who might have been a failure in the United States could have been comfortably in the middle class if they lived in Sweden or Denmark or a country like that. The tendency to hold the individual completely responsible is actually not a good tendency, because what it tends to do is afflict those who are already afflicted and comfort those who are already comfortable, which is the opposite of what a truly good and morally sound philosophy ought to do. And I hope you enjoyed hearing that.